Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Natasha, and today we will be talking about communication. What we're going to talk about today is what can affect your communication, communication concepts, nonverbal communication, good communication characteristics, and the listening steps. I just want to start by saying that communication is everywhere. Everywhere you go, you communicate with people. A lot of us don't even think about communicating anymore because it just comes so natural to us. We've been communicating since we were probably 1 year old with nonverbal communication. Some things that can affect your communication is your perception. Your perception is the process of selection, organization, and interpretation of sensory data that allows you to create your view on the world. Your self-concept is the total beliefs that you have about yourself. So your self-image would be like what you see in the mirror, what you see when you see yourself, whereas your self-esteem would be more of how you like yourself on the inside, how well you like yourself, how good of a person you think that you are. The higher a person's self-concept is, the more outgoing they're going to be. The more they're going to want to engage in conversations with other people. If you have a low self-concept or a low self-esteem, you're really not going to want to communicate with others. You're going to want to keep to yourself, and you're going to want to just get in the store and get out of the store real quick. Different concepts of communication include intrapersonal. This is the communication that you have with yourself, whether it's just simply in your head or if you're at home alone and you're talking out loud. Intracultural communication is the communication that you have with different cultures, whether if it's here in the United States or if it's you travel to Japan or somewhere abroad, and the intracultural communication you're going to have while you're over there. Co-culture is a group within a dominant culture that is united by some sort of relationship. So some examples of this in the U.S. would be like the Amish or the gays or the elderly or maybe even just simply little kids. Public speaking is any sort of speaking in front of a group. Whether you have an audience, this is just mainly one person speaking in front of an audience. Small group communication is communicating with a collection of 2 or more people that have some sort of relationship. So maybe you're in a college course and the professor divides you up into different groups, or just simply at work, working with your co-workers in separate groups. Some nonverbal communication characteristics are that it is tied to the situation, meaning that nonverbals have different meanings in different situations. So say I give somebody a high five at a football game, that's going to be seen as reward or praise or awesome, good job, our team is winning, to where if you're at a funeral and you give somebody a high five, people are going to look at you very strangely thinking, why are you giving him a high five? You're at a funeral. That's not appropriate here. Culturally based, meaning that nonverbals have different meanings in different cultures. Whereas here it's, well, everywhere pretty much it's not okay to stare at people, but otherwise, let's say like the peace sign. The peace sign here is seen as peace, love, happiness, to where if you go abroad somewhere and you give somebody a peace sign, that could be seen as like the middle finger over here. Ambiguous is meaning that a behavior can have one or more meaning. Continuous is meaning that you're never really off stage when it comes to nonverbal communication. You're always communicating nonverbally. Multi-channeled is meaning that you can speak nonverbally on more than one channel at a time. Rule-guided is meaning that within cultures there are rules for nonverbal communication on what is appropriate or what is not appropriate. Being a good communicator, these are some characteristics of that. Being loud and clear. The louder you are, the more you enunciate your words, the clearer you are, the more easy it's going to be for people to understand your communication. The more flexible you are is better because you need to be able to adapt to different situations. It's good to be honest when you want to communicate with people because they look up to you better if they know you're being truthful. Even though I believe it's okay to tell a white lie here and there, if your mom comes up to you and says, hey, how do I look in this dress? And you think she might look a little fat, you're not going to tell her that. You're going to say, hey, mom, you look great. Let's go. Being patient is good, especially if you're talking to elderly people or little kids. Being positive is always good. It's a lot easier to talk to people that are positive than it is to talk to people that are always negative and down on themselves all the time. Being outgoing is good as well. It's easy to talk to people that are just like out there saying, hey, how are you? Instead of the people that kind of keep them themselves and don't really want to communicate with others. And being a good listener. It's a lot easier to communicate with people that you can tell that they're really listening, they're really focused on what you're saying. Talking about listening, here are 5 steps to listening. The first step is sensing. This is becoming aware of the message, actually hearing the message. Next is understanding. This is comprehending the message. The intent of the message, really just taking it in, soaking it in, what the person is saying. Remembering is retaining the information so you can recall it later. Evaluating is appraising the message. This is really just thinking about it. Is this a good idea or a bad idea? Or responding. This is doing something with the message, whether it's nonverbal or verbal communication on how you're going to respond to that message. Today we have talked about what can affect your communication concepts, nonverbal communication, good communication characteristics, and the 5 listening steps. This concludes my presentation at this time. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a great day.